Hi, so I'm Stephanie Toman. I'm continuing with the Week 5 Functions series of videos. This is number 3, and we're going to be looking at text functions and financial functions in this one. So make sure you do have the right files from the lecture materials. So you need the Week 5 Section 14 functions. So let's open up the text function number 4. Nice little area, this, not too much to worry about. But some unusual functions that we maybe don't use generally. So the first one here, concatenate. And you can see what it does. It joins, if you like, a couple of cells, generally it's first name and second name, so that they're in one cell together. Because as before, we've put names together into separate cells using the data tab and the text columns. This time we're going to use a function to join up two strings, so join up two cells. And as you can see in this one, this is how I've done it. If we look at it in a insert function in the arguments there, you can see that it's really simple. The concatenate sits there. You've got your first cell. Your second one is your space between them. So you'd use a speech mark, space bar, enter the space, the next speech mark, and then your next cell. So let's delete that and do it together. So the first thing to do is to find the concatenate. You've got your first cell, comma, speech mark, space bar, speech mark, comma, second cell, close bracket, and enter. Now when you double click, autofill it down, you can see that it works beautifully. Let's do it the other way. So equal concatenates coming up. Go to the FX. The first one is the Joe in B4. The second one, and see the third text area comes available automatically with our speech mark, space bar, speech mark, and then our next one. And you could continue. And it works exactly the same. Something that's useful in the real world, not used in the exam, is you can use ampersands to join up cells as well. So if we clicked here, if we had an equal to Joe Blogs, and we wanted to add a reference to it on the end, let's say in F4, the 112, we put an ampersand above the 7, number 7 on your keyboard, Shift and 7, and then added a cell reference and okayed, it would then join them up. So you can add references to text. So remember, text and data does not like sitting together. We've dealt with it with regard to speech marks. But if you're joining text and a function, then an ampersand is really useful. So it's another way of doing it, but also it could be useful if you start to explore and expand into functions and you want to do lots of things. An example would be the most popular sport, and you could use a max function in the middle of that, ampersanded with text around either side and speech marked, and you can combine the whole lot into a text box area on the spreadsheet. So it's worth maybe having a look at. But for the exam, concatenate is the one that we come. On the next worksheet across, text functions, there's a number of different functions in here as well that we need to be aware of. Particularly in the syllabus, if we looked at the syllabus functions that I have separately made available to you, we have a left, right, and a mid. And there are some examples of mixed functions as well. So you can have an equal upper to make it capitalized, and then use a trim, which we're going to look at, and it applies to A4. So sometimes it's about just getting your brackets right, making sure that you keep things nicely done within syntax. So if we look at the left one, What this has done is it's extracted characters from the left. Therefore, we get the result of Anne. So it's took the first 3 characters from the left. This one's taken 10 characters from the right. So in the exam, they might talk to you about extracting characters from the end of the text or the start of the text. How many characters, they will tell you how many characters. We double click on there again, you can see there's a 3. So the way that we would do that is if we delete it, we do an equal left because we're going to extract the characters from the front. And we click on the cell we're talking about, and then we would put in how many. And the exam would tell you how many it wants you to extract. Okay. If you look at that in an FX, really straightforward. Even if you want to use it, please do. But it's just what cell reference and how many characters you're extracting from the left. And then your right one's pretty much the same. You've got 10. So we've looked at left and we've looked at right. So let's have a look at the mid. So here's a mid here. If we look at it in the FX, the insert function, you can see that you've got where the text is, the cell, the start number from the beginning, which the exam would tell you again, and the number of characters to return from the middle. So if we OK, that's why we get the Joe. If we did this one, we've got 6 and we've got 2, and that's why we get the J. So pretty much follows the same idea as that one. Another one to use is trim. So it's a great little tool. Trim, in the exam, it will talk about removing unnecessary spaces. So if you've received a workbook or a worksheet and it's all messy like this, and you think, oh, the whole thing's the right state, then you could use a trim to fix it all up. Nice and simple. Let's do the first one, close it off with a bracket, enter, and then it fixes it all beautifully. Don't go testing it with 300 spaces and think, oh, it doesn't really work that well. It's obviously a tool that works for this sort of example. Okay, so that's what you would be using if you were asked to in a test. And here's another example from the left. It might be that you want to extract a name from a driving license or something like that. So they're pretty straightforward, these. They're all there. So if you want to, as I said before, combine them, then you can. There are examples there. Okay, so we're going to leave that one now. And we're going to move on to number 5, financial functions in this video. And then I'm going to leave it. I'm going to do a separate video that follows that will cover database functions and nested ifs. Okay, so let's open up number 5, financial functions. This one tends to worry people because it says financial functions. We all start getting jittery. If you keep your head, follow the sort of things that I'm talking about, what you're looking for, you will be fine. So here's the different functions that we'd be using. If we go to the first example, the PMT, I've made these quite visual. Not too much, I hope, but it gives you an idea of what's going on and what to look out for. So this is what is the monthly payment on a loan of £50,000 at the rate of 6%. High interest rate, yeah. What I've done is I've done it visually, as in I've given you the function that you're going to use, which is PMT, monthly function. So let's go into the FX first. And we're not sure what we're using. So I'm going to put monthly payment. I have no idea if this is going to work. I'm just trying to find my way. Hey, presto, there it is. So it calculates payment for a loan based on a constant payments and a constant interest rate. Sounds good. So we'll have that one. All I'm doing is going to pop this on top of the one that I've got on the screen. So let's think about this. So we've got a rate, that's obviously interest rate. So I'm going to click on my interest rate. It's monthly So I need to divide it by 12. It's an interest rate. An interest rate is annual. Okay, so we'll divide it by 12. The number of payments, I need to look and see what the terms are. It's in months already, so I'm fine actually. I can just put in the 360. That's good. The loan amount, the present value is the loan amount. So if I click in there, that's the one that's going to have the E8. Notice that it is a negative function, and PMT is a natural negative function. In other words, you're paying out, so it will be, and that's how it is, okay? And if you do it with a minus in front, because that's where you remember being taught, that's how we were taught to do it, it'll come out as a positive. That's still acceptable in the exam, okay? So let's just cancel that a minute and do it for real. So we need to delete where we're going to put the monthly payment, which is in C12, as it instructs us. I'm going to type in the PMT, because we now know what it is, with an equal sign in the front. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Open bracket, and then it comes up here, or you can go into the FX. Okay. Whoops. There we go. So let's line it up again. Remember, interest rate we knew was there, and we have to divide by 12. Terms of payment, number of payments is fine because it's already in months. And the present value, I'm going to leave as it is and do that. And then I get the answer there. So let's just bring it up a little bit. Okay. There's another one we're going to do, PMT financial function example on the next tab, PMT1. Okay, things to look at. The sheet will tell you things. The question will give you some information too. What's the monthly payment on a loan? 50,000 at the rate of 6%. So it's pretty much the same question. Our answer's going in here, so I'm going to delete that. I'm using a PMT, double click, go into the FX, let's line it up. Right, so there's my rate. I know I have to divide by 12. Now the payments, I've highlighted that in red, but obviously in the exam it wouldn't be in red. It's years, so we need to think about timesing it by 12 to make it monthly. Present value once again is the same. Okay, and I've got my answer. And obviously the point in this is that if the interest rates go down, let's hope so, it's always good, you can see they go up. Monthly payments. Okay, so that's the point in that. Right, what I'm going to do now is we're going to have a quick look at PV, not really in the exam, as far as I know, but in the syllabus. It's the same idea, and you're using a PV, but your payment, your monthly payment, is the amount you're paying out, so it's a minus. Moving on to the FV, important area covered in the syllabus and exam too. So a future value, an FV, it considers it being a monthly investment or a one-off investment. So you need to be aware of that when you're reading the question. So if you don't get any word monthly in the question, then it's probably a one-off investment. This one's monthly. Find the value of monthly investment of £300 at the rate of 8% over 30 months. It might not say 30 months, it might just say the first bit. So you need to look to the information on the worksheet as part of the question too. So we're going to put our answer in here. Start typing future value. FX, make our lives easier. So we need to know the rate. We click on the rate. It is monthly, so I'm going to do that. That's already monthly. So we're okay. payments, monthly payments, they're on here, yep. But it's a future value investment, so that would have to be a minus because it's a monthly payment of paying out. There is no present value, so then we OK, and we get our answer. If you get an answer coming back that's absolutely ridiculous, then you know that something's not quite right. So your brain is much more important and cleverer than a spreadsheet or a workbook or Excel even. So always trust your gut feeling. Next one we're going to do as an example is your one-off future value investment. So once again, delete the answer there. We know we're using a future value. We're going to get the paste function, bring it up. We've got our rate. Would we divide it by 12? No, it's a one-off investment. We don't have to think about it as a monthly thing. We've got 2-year investment. Would we have to times that by 12 or do anything to it? No, it's a one-off investment. Monthly payments, there aren't any. So we could just leave it blank or we could put in a 0. It's entirely up to you. Both work. Present value, the amount being invested. Yes, we do need to do something with that. And if you notice behind, you've got a minus on that because once again, it's paying out. You invested it, paid out. Okay? Okay, that through. And then you'll get the investment of £50,000. Not bad at 8%, but if in the real world, if it was 0.5%, it'd be 50% I put in. So 5% goes down, 1% goes down, and you can start to see the real world coming on. Okay, so that's a one-off investment. So we have look at the question, look at the sheet to see what's going on in all instances, and then use the appropriate function. And remember, particularly on this one, if there is no information on there about a monthly payment, you can just leave it blank. If we look at that in a function, it looks like that. We can put a 0 in, and it still works exactly the same. Okay, so that's financial functions. Not too bad at all, is it? Not going to save. And then I'm going to stop here. I'm going to move on to the next group, a couple of videos on database functions and nested ifs. Thank you.